Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another, I guess we could call this another week of quarterback prospect rankings. This one is week 10. As you could probably tell by the title, I don't know if you can read or not, but I'll tell you for free that this is the week 10 quarterback prospect rankings. I hope you enjoyed this series up to this point. It's just sad, though, that we're only a few weeks from the end of the college football season, and a few weeks away from the NFL season being over as well, and that means we're a few months away from the NFL draft, which is a really exciting time, but right now I just want to continue enjoying this season of college football because it's been one of the most unpredictable seasons in recent memory, where we have all these teams that were preseason top 10 that are now outside the top 5 or outside the top 25 all in general. Like, look at a team like Clemson, and we'll talk about them here in a little bit, but 3-5 at this point in time. They were a lot of people's pick to either A, go to the national championship or win the whole damn thing. They brought back a lot of people that they had last year, including Cade Klubnik, and had some key players in the draft. You look at TJ Parker, Peter Woods, like players that you look at and go, these guys are going to carry this Clemson Tiger team to a potential national championship. And yet here they are at 3-5, where we don't even know if they're going to make a damn bowl game at this point in time. But then we'll talk about Clemson here a little bit, and more in particular, their quarterback. But we'll talk about them here shortly. But I want to go over the honorable mention section first, but I guess we should really go over. Make sure to check out all the links down in the description below. There will be a link to the full link to the podcast, or the blog post, will be in the description below. There will also be links to the podcast as well, which got released earlier today. So make sure to check that out as well. Just make sure, again, go down in the description, check out all the links down there. I would greatly appreciate it, especially if you go and check out the blog post. But starting off in the honorable mention section, again, just in order by last name. So just A, B, C, D, all that stuff. No 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. None of that stuff. So this isn't ranked. This isn't like number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I just need to do that as a precursor every single time we do this, because there's going to be some people like, why is this person ranked above this person when they're clearly better than that person? It's just in last name order. That's it. But number 1 on here, or just in alphabetical order again, by courtesy of last name, Carson Beck comes as the first one, 26-38. 274, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks in a 26-20 overtime loss to my SMU, And you remember when I was talking about before the season started, where it was, out of all the teams in the ACC, one of my teams that I was picking to be a quote-unquote disappointment was not Clemson, it was Miami. And early on in the season, when they were beating Notre Dame, when they were beating Florida, USF, when they were beating Florida State in Tallahassee, I was like, oh man, I look really stupid right now. And maybe I will wind up looking really stupid as the season winds down and everything. But right now, it's looking pretty, I'm not going to say it looks really good, because I wouldn't say overall they've been a disappointment. But I guess given what they had coming in, and given some of the players that they do have, including Ruben Bain on the defensive line, and with Carson Beck coming in and looking really, really good to kick off the season, and now we're at this point where they're 6-2. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games. It's just not looking great, because it's always a matter of time before a Mario Cristobal team loses a game that they definitely shouldn't. That happened a little bit earlier against Louisville. I didn't think it happened that early, but this game against SMU, it doesn't surprise me too much that they lost, especially with it being on the road. It doesn't shock me. It doesn't shock the nation, I guess you could say, in that regard, where Miami lost. But Carson Beck, man, it went from going so well to like this guy, he's playing at a point now. I never had him at this, but there were some people talking about he could play his way back in the first-round conversations. Maybe not quarterback 1 in this draft class, but there were people that were entertaining the idea of him potentially being a first-round draft pick. And now we're back to what we saw at Georgia last season, where right now he's got 14 touchdowns and 9 interceptions to his name. That is not ideal. That is not ideal. And he doesn't look like, again, we're reverting back to old habits we saw at Georgia. And it's just the same. I thought we were past that. Early portion of the season, Miami, we were going awesome, and now we're back. And I've said this before about Carson Beck, that he's a very confidence-based player, where he needs to be playing well and the team needs to be playing well, and then he'll start smiling and look like he's enjoying stuff. But once one thing happens bad, it seems like it always just starts tumbling down in that negative direction. So I think we've hit that point at this point in time, but maybe he's able to improve upon it. Maybe they're able to rally and bounce back from that and go on the end of the season on a 10 winning their final 4 games of the season, finished 10-2. I mean, they play Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt. So, like, those aren't, like, the Pitt game's tough. Virginia Tech being on the road will be a tough game. Syracuse beat Miami in Syracuse last year, so maybe they go down to Miami and beat them there. I mean, they did that to Clemson earlier this year, so maybe it's possible there. Like, nothing's guaranteed at this point for Miami. So I'm intrigued to see how they bounce back from these 2 losses, but not great standing at this point in time. But Taylor Green's next. 19 to 31, 194, one touchdown, no picks, 46 yards on the ground, a rushing touchdown there, and a 38 to 35 loss to Mississippi State. Arkansas might be the most unlucky team in all of college football, and it might not even be a real conversation. It's like Logan, you don't really need to say that. We already knew that. Like, barring their loss to Notre Dame, where they got absolutely blitzed 56 to 13, where Notre Dame really just crip-walked all over their grave. Like, they were running fake punts up by 30 in the second half. Like, why are we doing that? That's so unnecessary. Sam Pittman's already getting fired. He already got handed the pink slip. Why are you doing all this extra stuff on top of it? It's just unnecessary. But you look at their other games that they played. They're 2-7 right now. They lost 41-35 to Ole Miss. Lost 32-31 to Memphis on the road. 34-31 on the road against Tennessee. 45-42 at home against Texas A&M, who's now the third-ranked team in the nation. 33-24 at home against Auburn, and 38-35 at home against Mississippi State. So all those games, barring the Auburn game, were by one score. Some of those by 3 points. Texas A&M, the number 3 ranked team in the nation, fourth at the time they played them, 3-point loss. Tennessee, who just lost last week to Oklahoma, 3-point loss. Memphis, 1-point loss. Mississippi, Ole Miss, 6-point loss. Like, there's so many games in here where you look at it like, man, they were so close to doing something right, and then more often than not, they'll just give it away. Like, it's not even that the other team's just playing better than them. They'll try their best to turn it over every once in a while. Like Taylor Green, there are portions of this season, like you look at, I believe it was the Texas A&M game, where he has 2 fumbles in that game. Or you look at the game last week against Auburn, where he has the pick 6, and then the fumble, and then another interception. All 3 turnovers led to Auburn points, with one of them being a direct defensive touchdown. Like, that's where the problems lie here. And Taylor Green, I think, is immensely talented, but there's still room to grow as an overall passer to get to the next level. But he comes in the honorable mention section. Jay Maiava comes in as well. 9 of 23, 135, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Did have 62 yards on the ground with a rushing touchdown there as well. He's not really one to flash the athleticism all too much because he's got such a good arm. And when you look at what USC does on offense, you look at what Lincoln Riley likes to do traditionally on the outside side of the ball. He doesn't really ask his quarterback to be a pure runner. I mean, we saw like Caleb Williams. He would make plays with his legs, obviously. And then you got like Kyler Murray. He would make plays with his legs, but Kyler Murray's a little bit different than some of the other quarterbacks that they've had throughout his time at both Oklahoma and USC. But right now, Jaden Maiava, 103 rushing yards up to this point in the season, and the passing game just wasn't there against Nebraska. It just wasn't there. And that's fine. That's fine, but he was making plays with his legs. Had a season high in rushing yards. It's his first game since all the way back in September. He registered a rushing touchdown in a game, but also in the same breath, it's first time since September he hasn't registered a passing touchdown in a game, which that came against Purdue back on September 13th. So that's not ideal, but I do think Jaden Maiava is very talented. He's got the size, got the arm strength. We just need to find that consistency a little bit. We talked about that against Notre Dame, where he was forcing it a little bit or making plays where they're not necessarily needed to be made, and he turns the ball over. Or against Michigan, kind of the same thing there too, where you see the plays click, but then a few seconds later, a few plays later, he'll make a really weird throw and get intercepted, and you just look at like, what was that? But the next guy on here, I got Diego Pavia, 27-38, 365, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Had 43 yards on the ground rushing as well, with a rushing touchdown there, and a 34-31 loss to the Texas Longhorns. This is a big come-from-behind effort here from Vanderbilt. They were down in this game, and they had to claw their way back. They're at Texas. Not a very easy place to play. And Diego Pavia puts up his best numbers of the season by far. Like, he had one in the game where he threw for over 300 yards. That came against Utah State, which is a game you would expect a quarterback that's talked about as a potential dark horse Heisman candidate to do, like throw for over 300 yards. He's been a good athlete. He's been a good runner throughout the course of the season, multiple 80-yard rushing games or multiple 60-plus rushing yard games. But this game, 365 passing, 3 tuds in there. That's nice. That's what we want to see. I don't know what round I would personally go with Diego Pavia in the NFL draft, but it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me if he got taken on sometime day 3. It wouldn't really shock me. It wouldn't shock me if he went undrafted too. I mean, that's kind of what happens. And then the last one here, Sawyer Robertson. I almost put him in the top 10, but right now I have him on the outside looking in. 29 of 40, 267, 3 touchdowns. Him and Michael Trigg, we've talked about this before, have a very good thing going for them at the quarterback and tight end position. I'm excited to see how that grows the rest of the season. But Sawyer Robertson, I would probably say, based off last week, was the closest to getting back into the top 10. But number 10 on this list is Cade Klubnik. Now, we talked about him in the intro. This is the first time Klubnik's been in the top 10 since week 3. He went from 5, 6, 9, and then not ranked up until week 10, where he comes in at number 10 And Clemson, unfortunately, fell to the Duke Blue Devils by a score of 46-45 with an unfortunate pass interference call at the end of the game, which ultimately kind of sealed the game for Duke. I mean, they ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. They were going to turn the ball over on downs. Darian Mensah missed his receiver, turn the ball over on downs, get bailed out by a pass interference call. Duke scores a few plays later, get the 2-point conversion, ultimately win the game. But Klubnik, again, this was a very solid game for him in a game where, I guess so far this season, we haven't really seen him put up numbers like this. And he was somebody last year that kind of went under the radar with how good his numbers were. I mean, he had 3,600 yards passing, 36 touchdowns, I think 4 to 5 interceptions. Last season, already at this point, he has 5 interceptions with 13 touchdowns, 1,900 yards passing as well. This is only the second time this season where he's thrown for over 300 yards. The last time came against Syracuse when they were losing the entire time. He threw the ball 60 times. This one was a little bit more realistic, 36 pass attempts, 27 completions with 2 touchdowns in the game. It's also the second time this season he has gone without throwing an interception in the game. The other game came against North Carolina, which, again, we talk about things you're supposed to do if you're a top-level quarterback. You can't throw an interception against North Carolina. That's not how that works. You cannot be affording to do that. But I thought he played well. I mean, they did throw a lot of screen passes, a lot of bubble screens in this game. But you look at his deep pass to Antonio Williams early in the game, like where it's down the middle of the field. Right down the middle of the field. He holds the safety to the near sideline and holds him off just enough for Williams to break off in the middle of the field, hit him down there for a nice little play. He also hit Smith for a 14-yard pass play later in the game in the second quarter. And he's got a nice little, he's still a good athlete in there. He's really, I don't want to call him underrated as an athlete, because we all know he can move, but he doesn't do it all too often, especially this year, because right now he only has 116 yards rushing on 51 carries, but he can move. He almost had 500 yards rushing last season. He's a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, and we just never really heard about him a ton last year until the offseason. Then people started having the conversation about him being a potential number 1 overall pick. I never had that conversation about him being a number 1 pick. First-round draft pick, that was easy. If he had the same season that he had last year with Clemson doing what I expected them to do, which was at best go to a national championship game, at worst make the playoff, breeze through the ACC. I know they had Georgia Tech, who was my dark horse pick for the ACC this year. But I know they had teams like that in there, but I didn't think they would struggle this much. I didn't think at any point we'd see Clemson with 5 losses next to their name. I did not think that was going to be the case. But this was a good game overall from Klubnik. Very good game. He has a very quick release. You saw that in some of his pass plays that he had to Williams in this game, which Antonio Williams played very, very well. And I like seeing that chemistry between Klubnik and Williams. And those screen passes, the bubble screens that they were throwing, the short passes they were throwing, building up confidence in Klubnik in this game. And they got unlucky. And it's the best way to say it. Got unlucky. Some may even say screwed, but they were just unlucky. But he comes in at number 10. Number 9 is Trinidad Chambliss. Had his lowest numbers from a game this season. 12 of 21, 159, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Also had 59 yards on the ground, a rushing touchdown. It's his lowest attempts, completions, and yards in a game since he took over from the start as the starting quarterback from Austin Simmons. Because obviously, if you look at the first 2 games of the year, I think he threw 6 passes in his first game. I don't remember what he did the second game, but he didn't throw a lot when he wasn't playing, if you catch my drift here. But Trinidad Chambliss, he might not be the biggest dude in the world. He's generously listed at 6 foot 200 pounds. And you look at this throw that he had to Alexander in the first quarter. 2 minutes left in the quarter. You get a stop. I believe it was a turnover on downs from South Carolina. So you get the ball in really good field position. You're at the 50-yard line. And Ole Miss is a team with Lane Kiffin that if they get an opportunity to make you pay, they'll make you pay. So they go deep. First play, 50-yard pass. Dot. Right to Alexander, which leads to a touchdown that he gets to right, where he rolls out to his right, ironically, and he just waits for the play to develop. Like, he knows his tight end's going to be there. His tight end tries to seal the edge, and then he breaks off. He knows he's there, so he just keeps his attention over to the back pylon, and then once he gets up enough space when the defender's sucked in on him, he just dumps it off to the tight end who walks in from 8 yards to get the easy score. He had also a nice little 20-yard pass across the middle on 4th and 3 to Trey Wallace. Like, I love when quarterbacks throw across the middle of the field, when they're fearless like that. And Chambliss is a fearless runner as well. I mean, we had a 15-yard rushing touchdown in the game. I mean, I can't say fearless for that specific run because he pretty much went untouched in it. And he did have an interception, like we talked about before. Just a bad throw. There was probably more of a chance that I completed the pass in a college football game of any level than he did completing this pass. He threw it in the double coverage, throws long, tried to look off the safety. Problem is there's 2 high safeties. Safety played it back, easy interception. And yeah, but overall, the interception aside, Trinidad Chambliss made some good plays for Ole Miss throughout the course of the game. Again, 12 of 21, they ran the ball well. Lacey had a 50-plus yard touchdown in the game where he broke a few tackles. Like, they ran the ball well. They had over 400 yards of offense in this game. And South Carolina makes things tough. I mean, they're going to be leaky to a certain extent. I mean, when your offense is going 3 and out as many times as South Carolina's team is, you're not going to get a lot of breaks. So you can only bend so much before you break, and then everything starts to flow. I mean, it was 17-14 to start the third quarter. Like, South Carolina was making it tough, but Ole Miss just has more talent there. Trinidad Chambliss, good game, not a great game, but he comes in at number 9 on here. Number 8's Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati. If you just looked at the numbers here, his numbers are not great. 11 of 33, 221, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. I mean, 11 for 33, you missed 22 passes. That's not great. And he had 28 yards rushing in the game, which is a lower number for him, and he had a rushing touchdown in the game as well. And a 45-14 loss to Utah, which losing at Utah at night, that's nothing bad. And even getting blown out at Utah at night is not a bad thing. I mean, you're lucky to come out there with your life anyways. To come out with 14 points, that's impressive. That's impressive enough. Like, there's not a lot of teams that go into Salt Lake and beat Utah, especially at night, especially when they're rocking the all-black uniforms. And Utah just beat the crap out of them. Simple. And the interception, I'm not going to lie, I can't find it anywhere. And I think it's because they got the interception, but then they fumbled on the return, and then Cincinnati recovered it. So they kind of just wiped it from the face of the earth. But he still threw an interception in the game. I want to acknowledge that. But he had a 22-yard rushing touchdown in the game, pretty much went untouched. But a lot of these throws that he made, the 11 of 33 that he attempted in this game, a lot of these throws are, I'm not paraphrasing or exaggerating, they're elite throws. Like, they just are. He might not have the best number, completion or attempt rate. That's not the greatest number out there. But overall, I think in the game, he made some really, really impressive throws. Some back foot throws, some defender in his face throws. He had an 80-yard passing touchdown there. They threw perfectly in there right at the start of the second half. Like, he made some great plays. And it's unfortunate that he also went wayward on a lot of the throws that he had. And it didn't help that Utah was in his face more often than not. And it sucks because it was the first conference loss of the season. They were riding high. They were rolling teams. Or maybe not rolling teams, but they were beating teams. And it's their first loss of the season, but I wouldn't rule them out for a Big 12 championship appearance. I wouldn't. I mean, if you look at the Big 12 in general, at this point in time, it's literally anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday. You like the line any given Sunday, that's the Big 12 for you. That's pretty much the Big 12. I mean, you look at Arizona State. I know Jeff Sims played against Utah, and they got blown out 42-10. But then next week, they beat 7th-ranked Texas Tech at home 26-22 with a not healthy Sam Leavitt, clearly, as he's out for the rest of the season. And Jeff Sims went off against Iowa State this past weekend, that's another thing. We're not talking about any Iowa State, Arizona State stuff here, but like that. That's a prime example of that. And you have games like that where you can just flip a result like that. Colorado has one win in conference play, and that was against Iowa State. That was their first win in conference play. Their only win in conference play. And it was against Iowa State, who at that time was 5-1. And I know Iowa State's 5-4 right now, but you can't rule anybody out in this conference. I believe at this point last year, Arizona State was unranked, and then they went on to not only go to the Big 12 championship, but win the Big 12 in convincing fashion. So anything is possible here. So yes, you've got 2 losses to your name, but only one of them is in conference play. So we'll let the thing play out as it can, because if you look at the rest of Cincinnati's schedule, let's just entertain it here. I know they're on the outside looking at the top 25, and I know BYU's undefeated, and I know Texas Tech has a loss to their name as well against Arizona State, like we brought up. And Cincinnati plays BYU. They have a bye week this week. Arizona's a tough game. BYU's obviously a tough game, but you get them at home. So maybe that makes things a little bit interesting there. And you got TCU on the road, which that's going to be a tough game as well. Because as we talked about, Josh Hoover's a lot better at home than he is on the road. So that'll be an interesting one there for Cincinnati, but we can't rule it out completely. Is it likely? Probably not. But you know what? I think it's possible. And if Sorsby can complete a higher percentage of passes while continuing to make the throws that he did complete, then there's no reason why Cincinnati couldn't get there. Number 7 is Garrett Nussmeier. He didn't play, so he comes in at number 7. Number 6, John Mateer. Not his best game throwing the ball, because, 19-29 is not terrible. Anyway, 159 passing yards with 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And, you have the 80 yards rushing, that's the big thing for John Mateer. And that's one of the things I really like about him is that when things break down, he's able to make something out of nothing. He's very good at doing that. He broke an arm tackle early in the game for a 22-yard carry. Start the second half, 3rd and 16, gets a 20-yard run in there as well. Like, those are the types of plays we love seeing John Mateer make, and a lot of the passes that Oklahoma attempted in this game were short to intermediate passes. And I still think there's a little bit of a, I don't want to say hesitancy regarding him and his hand, but he hasn't looked back yet, if that makes sense. I think he's close. We saw blips of that last week, but I don't think he's all the way back yet. But he comes in at number 6. I think the second half he looked a lot better than he did in the first half. But this game against Tennessee, it was very predictable in regards to Tennessee's defense is terrible. So if Oklahoma's defense is able to get a few stops or intercept Joey Aguilar, which they did twice, they also forced a fumble in there, then Oklahoma can go into Knoxville and beat the Volunteers, which is exactly what happened. It's unfortunate that Mateer had the interception in the game and no passing touchdowns, but got the 1-yard rushing touchdown there, had the 80 yards on the ground, extended drives for Oklahoma with his legs. And if he continues to do that, Oklahoma's going to be back in and around the conversation for the playoff. And I know they're on the outside looking in right now from the official bracket, but I think they're ranked 12th at this point in time, but they're on the outside looking in, like the first 2 out or something with Texas. But if he plays more consistently as a passer and hitting those deeper throws as well, because again, a lot of shorter passes in there, then Oklahoma could definitely be back in that conversation. But he comes at number 6. Number 5 is Darian Mensah. And Darian Mensah, there's a conversation around him right now that he's probably going to go back to college. And I've said that on this show a couple times, that if I had to bet right now, I would guess that Darian Mensah would go back to school. Because he's younger. He was a redshirt freshman starter at Tulane last year. This is only his second season as a starter. But comparatively to some of the other quarterbacks that we're talking about that could go back to college football, Darian Mensah, he might be good to go out this year. He might be good enough to go out this year. And it's kind of, I don't want to say frustrating, because I don't see a lot of people talking about Darian Mensah in regards to being an actual legit NFL draft prospect. I mean, you look at what he's done with this Duke team. Duke had the 3rd worst offense in the conference last year. Right now, they have the 3rd best offense in the conference behind Florida State and Georgia Tech. They have a top 5, I believe it's top 5 passing offense. Darian Mensah ranks 5th in the nation in passing yards. Like, Darian Mensah needs to get talked about a lot more. And I think this is a game for people to look at and go, wow, this dude's legit. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 361 yards passing in this game as well. Is he the most active runner? No. But he could definitely make plays outside the pocket and ad-lib if he needs to. I'm not saying he's going to break off a 22-yard carry like John Mateer did this past weekend. But I'm not saying he can't either. He's a decent enough athlete to do that because he can make plays off script. I mean, he had one play in this game. Sorry, now granted, Barcady was wide-ass open. Busted coverage completely. But he's able to roll out to the right a little bit and dump it off to his receiver after looking to his left and seeing nothing there, quickly flip his hips back, roll out slightly, and dump it off to receiver for an easy 77-yard touchdown. Probably the easiest 77-yard touchdown you'll ever see in your life. Probably the easiest one. But he just made numerous big-time throws in this game. Like, these weren't all dump-off touchdown passes here. Like, they were dots. Like, you look at his first touchdown, 19-yard pass to Brown. Defender back turn, drops it right in the bucket, puts it right on his shoulder. Brown makes a really nice adjustment, turns his back, catches the ball, brings it into the end zone. You look at his 20-yard touchdown pass to Anthony. Look at that one later in the game. This was not later in the game, later in the first quarter, sorry. But you see pressure coming up. 3rd and 7, drives it down the middle of the field to Anthony for an easy touchdown. Stands calm in the pocket. He sees the linebacker come up right as the ball is snapped, right before the ball is snapped. Remains calm, knows his read, and just fires it in there. Zips it in there. Up 21-7 at the end of the first quarter. Now, Clemson did end up coming back and taking a 28-21 lead at a certain point in time, but they get the ball back with less than a minute to go in the first half, and he makes numerous big-time throws. You look at his throw that he had to Barcady. 2nd and 10. Pocket completely collapses around him, and he trusts his read. He trusts his eyes. And he lets the ball go where his receiver is going to be, and Barcady makes a really nice catch to come down with it through 2 Clemson defenders, and then a couple plays later, 43-yard touchdown pass to Brown. Like, beautiful ball. And Brown, he beats his defender easily, but Mensah, perfectly weighted pass. Right in stride. You cannot throw a better ball than that from Mensah. Like, you can't. And you look at his 56-yard pass to Hazley. Jeez, I don't know why I was struggling with that. Busted coverage again, but his heels are literally on the goal line. 3rd and 7. You're down by 7 points. And he just hits him right in the middle of the field for a 53-yard gain. Like, Darian Mensah, I believe, should be really getting talked about. You look at his slant throw that he had to Brown as well. 3rd and 6. Fires in there, puts it right on his body. Beats the defender to the ball. That's what we love to see. Darian Mensah, there should be a real conversation about him being a top 5 quarterback. I think that should be more commonplace than what it already is. Because I've had him at 7 in the past couple weeks, and looking what happened this past weekend against Clemson with the 4 passing touchdowns he had, definitely in that conversation for top 5, if not even top 4. Because number 4 on this list is Lenora Sellers, and I think Lenora Sellers is arguably the most gifted quarterback in this draft class. Size, arm strength, athletic ability, all that great stuff. The problem is he plays for a really bad football team. And by really bad, I mean it's literally him against everybody else. Now, does Lenora Sellers force the issue sometimes? Yeah. Does he take some bad sacks because he's trying to do a little too much? Yeah. But again, that's because he has no one else. Nick Harbor's awesome. Nick Harbor will probably be a second-round pick, late first-round pick when April comes around. He'll probably be an insane tester at the combine and boost right back up in the first-round conversations. He's that kind of dude. But apart from him, if you look at some of these games they have, I think we brought it up against Ole Miss. No, not Ole Miss was this past weekend. It was Oklahoma, against Oklahoma. Some of the times when he snapped the ball, the defender's in the backfield before the ball is. And that's just from him snapping the ball. And with him trying to create too much, again, it leads to some bad sacks. We all know that. If you're trying to create too much, no one's open, you're holding on to the ball too long, you're going to take some rough sacks. In this game, he got sacked 6 times. And I would say most of those are him trying to create something because nothing's open down the field. And he forces it. I mean, he had 2 interceptions in this game. It's the first time he's had 2 interceptions in the game this season. Both came in the fourth quarter, which is not great. I mean, you look at the game against Alabama, you got the fumble in the fourth quarter as well. You can't have those. And they're not very good throws. Like if we're being honest here, they're not the greatest throws of all time. You look at the first one, drops back, steps up to his right, slides to his right, tries to make something happen, ducks under the pressure, trying to make something happen, anything happen, and then he kind of just soft tosses it. He doesn't really get a lot on it, just soft tosses it down the field. Easy interception. Just a very easy interception. I give him credit for trying to make something happen, just an easy interception. Second one, defender coming around the edge, or not coming around the edge, breaks through 2 offensive linemen. Gets to Sellers, gets hit. But again, this one's too long of a throw. Again, another easy interception. But there's plays that he makes. Like you look at the play that he had in the first quarter. I believe it was the first drive of the game, where he fakes the handoff. Ole Miss defender has a free rush on him. He's able to get to the outside, break the tackle, keep his eyes downfield, dump it off to his tight end for a nice 20-yard gain. Like, those are the types of plays he has. The 40-yard touchdown to Nick Harbor. Plays like that. And he got intercepted a couple plays earlier, but he got called back for defensive pass interference. But that kind of throw. Those are the types of throws that we need. And I brought this up last week. When you're a raw quarterback, what are the throws that you make or see raw quarterbacks make? Like Anthony Richardson. What were the throws you saw him make while he was at Florida? The deep throws. Like, when you have that much athletic ability and that kind of juice in your arm, you're more likely to make the deep throws. I need to see you hit those underneath and intermediate throws with more consistency. That's why when I always talk to my friends, like we talk about the combine. Like you look at some of the big throws they have, the deep throws that they have. Like Joe Milton's will blow your head off because like, oh my God, that was so effortless. And it's awesome to watch because those are the throws that get you out of your seat. But the throws that make you money, the throws that keep you in the league for a long time, the throws that get you in the Hall of Fame are those short to intermediate passes because you're working in a tighter window. Those are the throws I need you to see hit with more consistency. The deep throws are awesome. And that's what keeps him at number 4 because the numbers, if you're just looking at the strictly numbers, they're not there. I mean, 1,500 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks, 150 yards rushing, with a lot of those being sack numbers. He could have a lot more yards, but a lot of those college puts in sacks as rushing yards, which is annoying, but that's another conversation. So you're kind of like looking at it going like, what could you be? I love seeing some of the plays for themselves. We've talked about this every single week where I'm not focused on the deep throws mostly. I want to see how he's underneath stuff, how his short passes work. So a lot of these highlights that I post of him are more short plays because those are what I think will get him a higher draft pick. If he were going on pure talent, he can be the number 1 overall pick in this draft easily. But that's not how this works. And I brought this up before. Everybody looks for the next Josh Allen. NFL is a copycat league. Everybody's looking for the next big thing. And I'm not saying Lenore Sellers will not be a great NFL quarterback. I am 100% in his corner. I think he could be an awesome NFL quarterback if he's drafted in the right team. Because that's another thing. You have to be drafted by a team that has competent people there. If you're raw, you cannot go to a team that's full of incompetent people. That's dumb, and it's not going to help you out at all. But for a guy like Lenore Sellers, I don't want people to go around thinking like we're getting the next Josh Allen here. Josh Allen's an anomaly. That's not normal. Josh Allen is not a normal thing that happens all the time in the NFL, where someone is that raw and turns into the best quarterback in the NFL. That's not normal. You can't go out and try to draft that. The Colts try to do it with Anthony Richardson. The 49ers try to do it with Trey Lance. And I'm not sitting here saying Lenore Sellers is in that category, but I don't want a team to draft him and going like, oh, we're getting Josh Allen here. Maybe if it develops, he could be awesome. There's no doubt in my mind that if Lenore Sellers develops correctly, he could be an MVP in the NFL. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He's so damn talented. He's got everything you'd ever want from a quarterback. I just need to see him hit that more consistently. And right now, I don't think he's going to get that at South Carolina. If I was him, I would go back to school and I would transfer. Because I don't think he's going to find success at South Carolina, given how they're playing right now. And maybe he thinks the next thing is to go to the NFL. Maybe that's his ideal path. And maybe it works out for him. But if I was in his corner, I would probably tell him to go to college, go transfer to another school and stay in college and develop more as a passer. And if he does that, then there's no doubt he can be the number one overall pick next year. I just don't think that's in the conversation right now. At this point in time, I don't think that's in the conversation right now. But moving on, I think these three guys can all go to the NFL right now and be perfectly fine. And that's Dante Moore at 3, Fernando Mendoza at 2, Ty Simpson 1. Ty Simpson, Dante Moore didn't play. Fernando Mendoza threw an interception, third play of the game for Indiana. And he's the most, I've said this 1,000 times, the most accurate quarterback in the college football when it comes to throwing outside the numbers. That was Kate Klubnik prior to the season. Right now, it's, or the past however many weeks or months, it's Fernando Mendoza. Because he's got such a quick release and a big arm that it gets to the ball quick outside, gets picked off throwing the outside. Just an unfortunate play. Did he have his best game? No. But in a game like this against Maryland, where you're kind of just walking in there and you know you're going to win, no disrespect to Maryland, but Indiana just ran the ball over him. That's all they needed to do. 367 yards rushing, 588 yards of total offense. Like, in this game, did Fernando Mendoza need to be Superman? No. He had 3 players rush for over 80 yards. Like, he didn't need to be that insane quarterback. So I'm perfectly fine with him putting up the stat line. But it keeps him at number 2. I don't think it was enough to get him back up to number 1. But I'm intrigued to see how he looks this week against Penn State. These top 3 guys have some big matchups coming up this week, and I'm really excited to see how they all do. But just a recap, here's the top 10 plus honorable mentions. So honorable mention section, Carson Beck, Taylon Green, Jane Mayava, Diego Pavia, and Sawyer Robertson. Number 10, we got Cade Klubnik. This week, him and Clemson take on Florida State. Number 9, we got Trinidad Chambliss. Him and Ole Miss take on the Citadel. So that'll be a very intriguing matchup right there. Get that game done and over with as soon as you possibly can. Number 8 is Brendan Sorsby. Him and the Bearcats are on a bye this week. But like we talked about before, they play Arizona next prior to playing BYU. The number 7, Garrett Nussmeier, he was on a bye this week, but they played number 4, Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It was a really rough go of things last year in Baton Rouge. I don't see things really getting that much better. I don't care if there's rain or not, because last year the rain really helped Alabama. I don't care if there's rain or not. I really don't see LSU having a lot of fun in this game at all. Number 6 is John Mateer. Him and Oklahoma are on a bye this week as well. Then you look at number 5, Darian Mensah. Him and the Duke Blue Devils travel to Connecticut to take on the UConn Huskies. Number 4, Lenora Sellers. Him and the Gamecocks are on a bye this week as well. Number 3, Dante Moore going to Iowa City to take on the Iowa Hawkeyes. So that'll be a really fun matchup there. Then we got number 2, Fernando Mendoza. Him and Indiana are traveling to Happy Valley to take on Penn State. And number 1, Ty Simpson, as we just said with Garrett Nussmeier, staying at home to take on the LSU Tigers. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed. As always, if you didn't, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. Make sure to check out the description down below for all the different links, podcast links, blog post links. I'd really much appreciate if you want to go check out the blog post. Leave a comment down below on how you feel the way you do, whether you like my rankings, hate my rankings, love them, whatever about them. I don't care. Just let me know down below. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. But again, if you didn't, I sincerely apologize. Try to be better next time. And I will see you guys later. Peace.